Hey folks, MasakoX here. I can't believe the timing of today, and the fact that we have this type of a discussion. What's it about? You guys! Androids! It's May the 12th, my friends, and you know what this date means within the Dragon Ball circle, right? This is the day of the famed appearance on a Membo Island of 2 androids, as prophesized by the galaxy's best timekeeper, future Trunks. Now, depending on the timeline that you are currently residing in and how you're watching this video on whatever device that you may have, we are talking about either Android 17 and 18 or 19 and 20. But today, to properly celebrate this date on the channel, since we've actually not really done that before bizarrely after 6 years of doing so, we decided to look through the archives of Gero's inventions and rank them accordingly. And everybody likes a good list, yeah? So do subscribe and like this video for more of these lists and what you'd like to see. As, well, of course, opinions. Before we get started, we are not going to be including the likes of the Dragon Ball Online androids because, quite frankly, I'm sure you didn't even know that they even had androids there. And for us, we only know bits and pieces about them, and honestly, this list already has enough characters in it regardless. And also, Mr. Perfect Cell is not on the list, as he is a pretty different type of android. And he's grown by Gero, not made. And also, with his magnificent jawline on display, he'd have trounced everybody. He would have won without really much thought. It would have been too easy and unfair for the others. Not to mention the fact that we've discussed plenty about him in other videos, so let's start at the bottom of the barrel, shall we? Number 10, held by the 17 on Super 17. Masako, this is GT. Can't you read? Yes, we know, but we are counting this since the original character came from Z. We also know that technically they are 2 separate beings, but having HF17 here, which sadly doesn't stand for have fun, because we're not having fun right now, being the more dominant personality of the 2 17s on display here, that prompted us to be swiftly done with this one entry, as the character is just not fun. The whole saga is actually quite infamous, as it is just another bad guys run away from hell plot that we've seen already in Fusion Reborn, and even the double act of Gero and Mew here, a golden opportunity, is kind of lackluster. And we like Gero on this channel, and we'll talk more about him later. Now, you could possibly argue that Super 17's actions cause a lot of peril within the story to justify some merit, plots that are somewhat noteworthy, and that's true. He is involved in some drama, like killing Krillin, causing much distress and pain for Android 18, his own sister. But when you look at him as a character, a basic archetype, he's kind of boring. Not having a lot of the quirks that made 17 so fun going for him. He's just a movie villain, really, and a weak one at that. Even old Broly had more in terms of personality. And in one movie, Broly was a pile of goo. And that's not a good luck when you're being outclassed by goo. The design of Super 17, though, is not bad. It's very 90s, which fits the era in which this was conceived in perfectly. And yeah, that opening shot of him, his hair back, woof, that's kind of suave. But sadly, the character after that falls flat, without fulfilling his potential, which is sad. And what makes this even sadder is that we remembered him. It would have been best if we forgot about him. But hey, I guess one good thing came out of this is because the next character on this list would not have to be at the bottom, as we feel that they don't deserve to be. Super 17 though, oh yeah, he's just a copy of a far more interesting character. Let's move on. Number 9, Android 19. Oh, clown man, my clown man. You know, this guy really doesn't deserve to be this low, but when you look at the list, and you've hopefully not skipped through, and compare him to some of the other examples here, well, someone had to be here. Yeah, when you boil him down, fundamentally he's just a glorified minion. And although he has a rather unique design and some rather interesting powers, mind you, what falls apart for him here is that once it was decided that 19 and a certain old man wouldn't be the main focus of the saga anymore because they were not interesting in the eyes of the editor, 19 here quickly became not even a second fiddle, or a fourth fiddle. For the higher-ups, he was the world's smallest violin. And yeah, he does look rather goofy, but he, and even better than Majin Buu we actually think, had that interesting mix of both creepy and funny. A very grotesque figure. And that made him memorable. Yeah, sure, Goku might have had the heart virus going for him during the meeting as a handicap, but 19 was able to give him a run for his money. If that fight were allowed to go the distance, without the actual heart virus in display, that could have been quite the show. He's also criminally absent from a lot of the Dragon Ball games, with Xenoverse and Fighters coming to mind first and foremost. So, while not the most popular, we can't help but have some sort of a soft spot for this guy. But in terms of personality or lack thereof, don't count on us getting around to making a What If Android 19 turned good What If on this channel. Seriously, we basically need to invent a whole new character in more ways than we usually do, and even we have our limits. Number 8, Androids 14 and 15. This one is a twofer, but really? They're kind of one and the same. Let's start with the taller of the duo, as we feel that this double act can easily be considered as one entry. This big fellow knows that little boys should not play with knives. You know, this may be a little divisive, that we were willing to put him and 15 over 19. We like 19. But the thing is that the movie had much less time to set these characters up, and 14's fight with future Trunks, as well as his overall design, is pretty cool. Again, it's a shame we don't get much in terms of a persona or a character from this one, but honestly, I don't think that was the main intent. Because he's just another minion android, but he is rather imposing. And considering their short screen time, he surely makes an impression. And also, he was the last proper victim of Trunks' sword before Super. And yeah, let's talk about his buddy now, Android 15. This fellow actually doesn't really speak that much in the original dub, and neither does 14. We don't really want to talk a lot about what they did to him in the dub, as it's rather infamous, but visually speaking, 15 is able to get the viewer's attention with his brightly coloured garb and fluid movements, and overall fighting style. It's just disappointing that he wasn't given more time to show off what he could actually do, and his personality given his apparel, as he could have been the most entertaining of the 3 movie androids going, even with his drinking problem. But we don't judge him. Next on the list, of course, is going to be the trucker man himself. That's right, you knew he was coming. Android 13, everybody, and number 7. Look at his trucker hat. Now, 13 is a very curious creature, to say the least, because he is a very distinct character when based on localization. In the original version, he is a rather no-nonsense, cold-blooded killer. Well, cold-circuited, because android. And his super form is much more Broly-like and animalistic, whilst in the English anime, oh boy, they made him into a redneck philosopher, almost, giving him a certain disdain for mortal life, and of course having a trademark Mason-Dixie accent. And somebody who doesn't like being lectured by people with $30 haircuts. The video games marry both of these versions together, in terms of personality, making him more to the point, but also retaining translateral quirks. And he can be quite entertaining doing what he does, we're not gonna lie. But we do wish that he didn't transform into that blue form, as it made him far less fun and turned him into just a straight up Broly Bojack combination before they were even a thing, the both of them. But both Broly and Bojack make their respective things better. So yeah, 13 is decent, but far from great, sadly. Next, we're gonna discuss the most controversial entry on this list. Some of you might not be happy by this placement, but hey, hear us out. Android 21. Yes, we know. She is an extremely popular character, as well as admittedly being quite attractive. I do like me some redheads. And while she is far away from the bottom of this list, placing her right slap bang in the middle might be a disservice to some of you, the thing that keeps us from putting her higher on the list is that we are very well aware that 21 might be popular for the entirely wrong reasons. That her reputation within the fandom might not be down to her basic personality, entertainment factor, actions, or wit, but other stuff that I can't mention here. Now, before you call us prudes, there is nothing outright wrong with creating sexy characters, or ones who are a little bit promiscuous and empowered, but when that sexiness overshadows most of your traits and has the potential to objectify yourself before you can even have a chance to show what your personality is like, this is when things get a little problematic. Seriously, Fighters really made her out to be a really thirsty individual, and that in Dragon Ball? That's kind of weird. Which is really undermining her, because 21 can be a badass, and she's really powerful on her own merits. Intelligent, assured, confident, Lab Coat 21 cuts a very imposing impression and would have been enough in that, guys. You could have just left it at that and that would have been perfect. But her marching form really dragged her down. And when I first saw that transformation, that really came out of left field. Like, what? And she's not the only hot android lady on this list, mind you. But we feel that the levels of lewd in her case is kind of ridiculous for Dragon Ball. But hey, yeah, I'm not going to stop you because I stop you a lot of the time, but what can I do? But that's not to say we hate the character. We just feel that she has unfulfilled potential that could be explored in more sophisticated and mature means. What holds her back is what makes her so popular in the end. Ironic. Hopefully her popularity will spin her off into different directions, which would be a good thing for the character. To be more of a, character rather than an object. Now the next one, this is a classic. Android 8. That's right, the very first android that we meet in Dragon Ball. We count him here since he does appear in Z, and remains a lovable member of the cast. Although his design is hardly original, having Frankenstein's monster / Lurch from Addams Family vibes about him, he is a very good-natured individual. And to be fair, I can actually forgive that, because it makes us smile in a way, his design. Us seeing Toriyama's passions and hobbies being translated into his own visual style feels like a window into his soul in a way, for a very private person. And not only that, but in the anime, he serves as Goku's consciousness when he is trying to finish off General White, a thing that he actually repeats a while later. But the original impact of having someone persuading Goku to spare an individual's life is really rare. And we have 8 so high on this list also because he started a very important chapter in the history of Dragon Ball, without us, or even Toriyama for that matter, realizing it at the time. And yes, while it's a very well-known trope, you just can't deny the charm of gentle giants, something that will become apparent later on in this list. But before that, number 4, Android 20. Putting himself into an android body was by no means an easy feat. Heck, I reckon that even Toriyama didn't put much thought into it because it's never really been fully explained, but hey, the man himself here, he might be one of the most brilliant minds within the whole Dragon Ball franchise. The magnitude of his actions is present even to this day in Dragon Ball Super. For being such an underrated villain in the franchise, he achieved a truckload of feats when he was just a regular human to boot. His twisted morals and self-imposed mission statement gave him some really crazy determination, which resulted in, well, the very existence of this list actually. The last human villain in the series. What a way to go. We really love Gero as a character. His motivation is compelling, his design unique, and devious, and to this day, there are some mysteries surrounding him that are the inspiration for many what-ifs that we do here. A truly unique specimen, who should be here if not for his physical strength, but for his utter brilliance and impact that his actions have left on the series. Now, we head for the final 3. You probably already know who they are and what they're going to be, and depending on which day you asked us this order would shift around accordingly. But bear with us here, as we would like to share with you our opinions that we have on May the 12th. Number 3, Android 17. You know, as much as we like to give Super a hard time for not making bold moves with its characters, this is one of those exceptions where we really have to praise them, and we cannot praise them enough. They really delivered, and in spades. Sure, the Cell Saga 17 was a fun character, but when we last saw him in Z, he was kind of just a double act with his sister, and then later on he had that little Park Ranger cameo. That was cute though. It was good to see that his ambitions were realised in some way, and whilst we saw 18 become her own person in her own right, 17 remained to us that rascal, the immature one, who was kind of just an accessory for his sister's story. It seemed like he would never really grow up in our eyes, or develop into something else that he truly would deserve to be. Yeah, we wanted to see him mature, despite him and 18 technically not being able to age, or at least not as fast as humans typically age. But when we revisited 17 and Super, not to be confused with Super 17, oh boy, what a change! We instantly fell in love. Even though his poacher episode wasn't that great, and even though someone was too lazy and didn't bother to design his family, he feels so much more complete. Like he's truly settled down and happy. And we like that. Characters being happy and content, that's a big plus for us. Combining 16's sacrifice and his own experiences, as well as keeping his dry sense of humour intact, this makes him a really entertaining addition to the cast. And don't get us started on what he got up to during the Tournament of Power. Man, he was a beast there. This guy literally saved the multiverse. Our good android buddy can be described as having the biggest glow up in Super's history, and definitely is one of the best handled characters within the modern Dragon Ball timeframe. However, him being a park ranger was mostly thanks to Android 16 at number 2. Well, 2 times 8 is 16 after all. And does this mean that Android 16 is twice as cool as Eta? Well, yeah, actually. This fellow is super strong, has rocket arms, but most importantly, despite being completely mechanical, he has the biggest heart of them all, serving as the moral compass for the twins. Without his help and guidance within the early Android saga, the present 17 and 18 might have gotten up to other things. They might have drifted around aimlessly around the planet for years, or maybe resorted to their base programming. And also, he was able to provide character development as a severed head. And that was more than most of the main cast were able to do with that character, so, well, that goes without saying, that's pretty impressive. He was ahead of the rest. Also, his sacrifice was permanent, one of the most lasting and sad consequences of the series. And whilst we lament him not being around anymore, it's probably for the best. I just wish that Super remembered how effective those kind of things could be for the story, right? And yet this narrative device affected so many other things that if we had the chance to revert it, we wouldn't take it. As much as we love to see this guy hang around more. He was truly special. And while he was standing on the arms of Eta, he was really able to expand what his sibling brought to the table and make a lasting impact. But alas, there is only one who can ascend to glory on this list. All hail Queen Lazuli! Number 1, Android 18. Android 21 wishes she could be her. I'm pretty sure a lot of you out there are happy to see this. Most mainly popular due to her looks, obviously, I know a lot of you out there. She gets this spot for other reasons. For starters, she is powerful, has a functional and loving family life, and was able to build herself an existence, despite all the trauma that she had endured. Not to mention her seemingly apathetic persona when we first met her, and the fact that she could break Vegeta's arm. Yeah, you don't forget that. And whilst Bulma was the first lady of the original Dragon Ball, we feel that 18 is the first lady of Z, and reminding everyone that we need more badass female characters. And that is something that Have and I strive to do going forward with our projects, be they Dragon Ball What Ifs or perhaps future original content. Her relationship with Krillin is one of the best ones in the Dragon world. They're the most functional couple. And she never lost her clout. In terms of fighting, she was able to go head to head with some really heavy hitters and still can. I knew her place on this list was assured when I remember that one scene where Krillin got hurt whilst fighting with Goku or sparring and she was tending to his wounds, and she smiled in a rather soothing manner. Right there. That was the sign of her happy, settled, satisfied. She had gotten what she wanted. A home, a family, peace. We really adore her character, and whilst the top 3 of this roster could shift around depending on our mood, we feel that 18 was the first one to be able to carve out a proper life for herself, and that's why, today, she deserves the top spot. But what do you think? How would you place these characters? Do let us know in the comments. And yes, we do expect 21 to be much higher than in this list, but hey, prove us wrong and keep this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!